This is my video on New York City. I've been to the city a few times. The first time I was there was for a karate tournament that we flew to, that I think it was in Brooklyn, that um, my fellow karate peers and I went to. I think it was the Schleigels that I stayed with. This was a while ago now. This is like 23 years ago, so apologies if my memory is a bit hazy, but that was the first time I ever went there. Didn't really get to see much of the city. We just stayed in our hotel, and then I think we did go to a restaurant there, and then just went to the tournament, and then went home. So just for a weekend, but that was the first time I was there. And the second time I was there was in 2006. It was in college of my freshman year, and my friend from high school, she asked me if I was. I think actually I had planned it out with another friend who had also went to high school with us, a male friend of mine, and I talked to him because he was going to NYU at the time. And we had just been talking, and I think I either asked him, I think I probably asked him if I could visit him there, and he said that was fine. So we also had a couple other friends living there, a couple other female friends, Katha Zinn and Christina Say. Craig Waxman was the male friend, and then Christine Quinn, who is another friend of mine who was going to college in a college very close to mine. It was only like a 40-minute drive away from mine, Kenyon College. We decided, Christina and I, that we should drive to Columbus Airport and then just take a trip to New York City for a long weekend to see Craig and Christina and Katha. So we did. We just decided to do that one weekend, and it was a lot of fun. We got to go on the subway, and um, I had a funny story about a guy on the subway. It was a possibly African American man. He looked homeless. I don't know if he was homeless or not, but he looked homeless, and he was on the subway, and he was walking around, and he was kind of being a nuisance and bothering people. And he got off the subway, and everybody was very relieved. But all he did was he walked around the other end of the subway because we were near the back of the train. So he walked around the train after he got off, and then came back around the other door, and then surprised everybody as he realized he was annoying people, but he made it a funny sort of exit and then appearance back on again. Thought that was kind of funny. That was amusing. So anyway, went on the subway there. Got to NYU. Saw Craig for a bit. We walked around, saw Times Square, which we walked around in, Rockefeller Center, which we saw briefly also, which was great. That was my first time seeing those in person. It was just really cool. And then went to Little Italy also for dinner one night, which was also cool. Went to an off-Broadway restaurant, which was also cool. I really don't like Broadway musicals. I hate musicals, to be honest, but that actually wasn't so bad. That just eating and seeing people perform live wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Singing the Broadway tunes and whatnot. That is a lot harder than it actually looks, I'm guessing. So that was cool to see that. And then we also went to my friend Craig kind of ditched us for a bit to hang out with his NYU friends, which I was a bit peeved at the time, but I realize now that that's totally fine. I didn't mind that. I don't mind that now at all. But anyway, we just walked around Madison Square Garden, and it was late at night when we did that too, so that was kind of creepy. I was actually a bit frightened myself because I didn't know who was going to be lurching in the bushes in Madison Square Garden, but that was kind of creepy, and but it was a fun time overall. It's a really cool city. That was the second time I was there, and then the third time I was there was actually to see Radiohead. I saw them perform live in Madison Square Garden. So I stayed in a really small room in a motel, I think would be the name. It wasn't a hostel, but it was a Chinese motel, so to speak. And the room was super tiny. It was not like a typical hotel room you'd find in America usually. I mean, I was still in America, obviously, but the room was about the size of a closet. I mean, I was like packed in there like a sardine. And I mean, I had my laptop with me, so I watched videos on there, and that was fine. And there was a public bathroom there, which I used. So again, I was still sort of poor at the time. I was 28. I had just gotten a position as a custodian, actually. And so I planned that actually beforehand when I still had another full-time job. So I went there, saw Radiohead, saw my friend who was living in New York City there also. We walked and talked for a bit, got some food at a cafe, walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. So that was really cool. And then after I went to the show at Madison Square Garden and saw Radiohead, which was great, um, I frequented some of the bars around Manhattan. And then I was supposed to see Dave Attell that night perform comedy live in some, I think it was the Comedy Cellar actually, where Louis C.K. has performed for his show and things like that. But I just got so drunk that I was just too tired to do that. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see him live because I was just way too inebriated. But I did come back to my room, made it back. Unfortunately, at one of the bars that was playing, what they had a person there playing live music on a keyboard. I think I accidentally dropped a glass, and I felt really bad. And they were kind of ticked at me, and so I just threw a $20 bill on the bar just to pay for the glass, and then just left as quickly as possible. Um, but I think I only had like 5 drinks that night, so really wasn't like super drunk, but I was definitely drunk. So anyway, I did that. I think every night that I was there, I just got drunk. But I also saw, more importantly, Wall Street, which is really cool. I just walked around Wall Street, which is fairly close to Chinatown and Manhattan, Times Square, where I was sort of staying in. And Wall Street was interesting. I didn't get to see a lot of it, but I also saw the new Freedom Tower, which is awesome. It's 1776 feet tall, so it is just crazy how tall that is. But that was cool. I think I got some Chinese food in Wall Street also while I was there. Maybe it was pizza actually, now that I remember it correctly. But like in 2006, in 2016, just a ton of people walking around. Just a super busy place. I went to another good restaurant there, which is like a soup and salad place, which was also really good. So if you ever get a chance to visit New York City, definitely go to the places that I mentioned. Manhattan is obviously the center spot, but Times Square, Wall Street, Madison Square Garden. Chinatown's cool too. I walk around Chinatown quite a bit also. So I go to Chinatown also. Little Italy's great. Now, I think I said Madison Square Garden when I went there when I was 18, but I think wasn't. I'm trying to think of the name of the park. Is it the Madison Square Park? I think is the name of that. So I apologize for forgetting such a memorable landmark, but I'm just trying to do this review as quickly as possible as I'm getting kind of hungry. Um, oh, also, when I was 18, we also went to the art gallery there, the Metropolitan Art Gallery. I'm going to look up the name of that now. I keep forgetting that, but I think it is the same one as shown in Ghostbusters, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. We also saw Borat there on IMAX when it first came out, so that was cool. That was back in 2006 also. Um, so yeah, New York City is a really cool place to go. It's not far from where I live. It's probably a 5 or 6 hour drive, maybe a 7 hour drive with traffic. Oh shoot, I also saw a correctional center in New York when I was there in 2016 also. I just walked past it. That was near Chinatown. I don't know um, what the name of it was, but that was kind of eerie to walk by. But anyway, I want to look up this art museum because that was really cool too. Had a lot of cool statues, cool paintings, really interesting stuff. Um, I do want to go back there again someday. I still haven't seen the Statue of Liberty. I do want to actually go in the Freedom Tower. I think I can actually. I think they let people go in there to tour it. I don't know if I can make it up to the top floor, but I'd go up as far as I could in there. Yeah. So I don't know if this is the same. This is the one that we went to, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I don't think it's the same one as in Ghostbusters, but because it doesn't have doesn't have lions in front of it. But let me double check to see, because I'm so bad at remembering things like this. Um, yeah, I don't think that's it. Maybe it is. Maybe that's a line here. I can't remember if that's the same one we went to. No, I think that's a different one, but it's still an awesome museum. So if you ever get a chance to go there and check it out, they have some really cool stuff. Yeah, I remember these statues here, and yeah, a lot of statues I remember. Paintings too, but I mostly remember the statues. So yeah, had a great time there with all of my friends there when I was there in 2006. Didn't really spend too much time there in 2001 or so, but also had a good time there in 2016. So if you ever get a chance to go there, definitely visit. And Manhattan is obviously the main spot to go to, but I might visit Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx someday also. Staten Island, those seem like really cool places too. Uh, I'll have to check them out. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a good rest of the day. I guess I should say thank you for listening and watching. So have a good rest of the day.